if you guys have been on the internet in the past few days, or have been watching my previous videos, and if you aren't, what the hell are you waiting for? I have been leaving in my description to go hop on Wuthering Waves, and with Wuthering Waves finally releasing 2.4, and after doing the story and exploring the new area, I can definitely say this is probably my favorite area in the whole of Wuthering Waves. Somehow, they managed to out Natlan itself and the Leather Dominatrix as well. The writing for 2.4 is actually pretty good. No bullshit whatsoever and gets straight to the point. However, it's not a 10 out of 10 as there are still some things I do have issues with. So let's discuss what I liked and didn't like. And trust me, there are more things I actually like in this patch more than don't like. I know the story is split into two parts, and I thought I'd save my spoilers until part 2 comes out, but I feel like there are still some things I need to discuss that are kinda approaching spoiler territory, so I'll just slap a tiny spoiler warning for this video. So if you haven't done the story yet, or haven't explored the map yet, this is your warning to fuck off now and come back later. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's get on to the rest of the video. So, I first like to say that it's pretty clear that this is meant to be basically the Natlan of Wuthering Waves. I mean, there is literally a tournament arc and a whole city that relies on this for entertainment. However, this time, the thread is on the inside instead of the outside. See, part 1 of this story is only 2 hours long, and within these 2 hours, I actually was more engaged in the story than like 90% of the entire Natlan quest. The story did start off a bit rocky in the beginning, but like once you reach the city, which is like within 15 minutes of the story, that's where the story actually starts to pick up. And man, I gotta say, the build up to the end of part 1 was so good, it left me wanting more of the story. And that rarely happens in these games. Cause usually, at best, it'll leave me thinking it was good, but not to the point I want more from it, but not this time. I'm actually hyped for when part 2 comes out. The animations have also improved, almost to the point where I kinda don't believe they animated it themselves, especially around the end, if you know what I'm talking about. I would also like to add that when Lupa was released, I was kinda on the fence for who to pull for this patch because I'm gonna admit, I wasn't the biggest fan of Kartathea, but I can understand those who do like her. But for this story, it's more focused on Lupa and her fate in the story instead of Kartathea's. And this time, we do learn about her enough to actually like her and learn that she actually has a bigger fate in the story. Now, I'm going to say something that is more of a nitpick rather than a criticism, but this is also part 1 of the story, so this could change still. But can we please learn more about the city rather than one character? Because yes, Lupa is cool and all, but this other lady, Furlova, is like, by the way, Septimon is going to be destroyed if you don't kill her. And like, yeah, that's cool. It creates a problem and tension for Rover to think about on whether to do it or not. But like, why do we care? Besides learning that some people are shitty and that these people are blood-hungry people when it comes to tournaments, why the fuck should we care about the city? In fact, the two things I listed are more of a reason to actually destroy the city rather than keep it. And we're sparing Lupa in the process, so in fact, this is actually more of a win-win for Rover, destroying the city and saving the baddie. But that aside, when it comes to everything else, like the map and gameplay, I think it kinda works and kind of doesn't. See, within the first 10 minutes, there's basically a long QuickTime event which I think doesn't need to exist. Like, I get it if it was actually fast-paced and you need to pay attention with everything going on, but what this actually felt like was going on a fucking jog and then pressing a button to jump every 10 seconds. Besides that though, the gameplay was pretty solid though. It does get pretty gameplay heavy in the second half of the story, which actually made me feel like I'm playing a game and kept me more engaged instead of, you know, turning this into a light novel. I would also like to add that Septimon is probably the most thematically accurate place out of all of the regions in my opinion, and has probably the most references to other games I have seen out of the entirety of Wuthering Waves. So I don't have much distaste for it, but I do find it a bit funny that besides this one place, no one else lives anywhere else on this map, so your only options for living in this place is the place where most legal murders take place. A bit funny in my opinion, but what are you gonna do? Anyway, besides that, I think the first half is overall a pretty good story and it doesn't feel sluggish, and it's probably the most engaging story and a well-paced story in my entire experience with Wuthering Waves. I am definitely looking forward to see how part 2 plays out. So with that, I think a fair rating for this patch is going to be an 8.5 out of 10, but who knows, maybe they'll fumble the bag with part 2, but I highly doubt it. So that's what I thought of this patch. Probably one of the most interesting stories out of the 2.0 saga, as I'm calling it, and I actually have more confidence in Kuro to actually make more good decisions than bad decisions in the future. Anyway, if you do want to see what I'm going to cover next, why not subscribe to the channel and like this video to catch more videos like the one you're watching and the video I made last time on Genshin Impact. I do plan on releasing another video on Hoyoverse's next billion-dollar scam, Honkai Star Rail. Also, if you do have a different opinion than mine for this patch, feel free to comment down what you thought of this patch so far. Also, if you wish to see what other games I plan to make videos on, why not follow my Twitter or Twitch or Kick or any other non-terrorist associated streaming platform. I do plan on being active on those eventually, but hopefully soon. Anyway, that's all from me. I hope you have a wonderful day, night, and evening, and I'll see you next time. Peace.